Am I the only one who is noticing that the demand for Jay-Z's head is turning out to be a pastime activity on the internet? And this stems from a multitude of reasons. Allegations of his involvement with Aaliyah's death, claims that he got into an inappropriate relationship with Foxy Brown for allegedly grooming his current wife Beyonce, and a plethora of other allegations, which further tells a story that Jay-Z is not a fella anyone should rock with. Oh, and because he's very handsome. Now, with the recent release of the Epstein files, which mentions the rapper in an unverified FBI tip line reports from an anonymous caller dating back to 2019, not in Epstein's personal records, flight logs, or corroborated evidence. Nonetheless, Twitter users' conviction rates that Jay's reckoning is finally here has went through the roof, as many are believing that this will finally take him down.
Guilty! That nigga is guilty!
By no means am I defending Sean Carter, as he can hold his own nuts. But you have to admit, this is an interesting phenomenon, and I want to talk about it. So for this video, let's go through this whole ordeal regarding Jay-Z allegedly being linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Will there be any real repercussions for the rapper? Or is this another pastime activity on the internet? Why I think people don't really care about this, and why the dead internet theory might be real. I am Don, your pop culture boy. Let's get into it.
Where this little girl mother at?
Catastrophic.
What I find interesting about the situation is the timing of it all. It initially started with Nicki Minaj crashing out on Twitter, blasting Jay-Z for owing her equity from his Tidal streaming service. So this is like when Lori pulled up on Rue in Euphoria. But that's not really where it started with the two rappers. It all started when Nicki blasted Jay, if my memory serves me right, back in 2024 after the NFL's announcement that Kendrick Lamar would headline the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans instead of Lil Wayne, whom she felt was more deserving because he's from New Orleans. Overall, a hip-hop legend. Nicki Minaj accused Jay-Z, who's Roc Nation partners with the NFL on the halftime show, of letting his ego and alleged animosity towards her, Drake, and Birdman influence the decision, calling it spiteful and unfair. Mind you, Jay-Z actually helped Lil Wayne a lot throughout his career. Wayne owed like over $14 million in taxes, like amid disputes with his former label Cash Money Records, and apparently Jay-Z stepped in to cover or assist with a large portion of his debt, which Lil Wayne publicly acknowledged in 2019 during a concert, calling Jay-Z a real friend who didn't want the help publicized. This further aided in the Carter 5 in 2018 finally being released, as Wayne could, actually focus on his music. So Nicki blasting Jay was very ironic at the time, but to be fair, this sentiment that Lil Wayne should have been chosen wasn't in a vacuum, as other rappers from New Orleans came for Jay as well, such as Lil Boosie and Hurricane Chris. Now, after this, Nicki attacks the young man himself persisted throughout 2025 and in more recent times. On February 1st, the first day of Black History Month, she posted pics of Jay with Aaliyah and Beyonce in separate photos on different occasions. The tweet read, "Are y'all understanding that these people have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and maintaining power? If you ever vote Democrat again, you're just as soulless as they are and will perish. Maybe it's time for me to do some story times, since I was trying to not say what I know. Yet they continue to attempt bullying. Also, I won't be releasing an album until my contract is renegotiated and until I tell you about all the sabotage this Rico is finding out about Billboard." Now, just a small call out here, but this reads like AI. Also, the use of dashes, like who tweets with dashes? It just doesn't feel or is read naturally. And based on my research, AI loves using dashes because that's how it's trained. Could be wrong, but I don't know. This just feels like it was written by ChatGPT. Anyway, also in the photos, it shows that Aaliyah was 15 in 1996 compared to Jay-Z being 26 at the time. Now, again, I don't know who Nicki have tweeting for her, but Aaliyah was born in 1979, which would have made her 16 or 17 in 1997. Additionally, the photo was not taken in 1997, rather the year 2000, which would make her Aaliyah 20 or 21 at the time. Not completely sure. Someone fact check me. Now, the photo with Beyonce showing she was 16 and him being 26, that photo was altered. He was actually in between Latoya and Latavia. That said, Beyonce was indeed 16. To sidetrack a bit, Beyonce and Jay-Z's relationship is so discussed. So many people have opinions and claims to the point where the claims compete with each other that it's becoming very exhausting to even acknowledge. For example, many people speculate that Beyonce was not born in 1981, rather 1978, which would have made her 19. I know, still shaky, but there's not much we can do if she was actually 19. And I know people are going to say, well, that was debunked. True, but the claims that they dated when she was 16 was also debunked. So I want someone to tell me what should I believe and a reason as to why. And I think it's no coincidence Jay-Z was mentioned in the Epstein files after Nicki met the Orange Man, aligning herself with his MAGA movement while, going at Jay-Z online. Then boom, the files are released while, Nicki kept attacking him, further feeding the allegations. In regards to the files from the U.S. Department of Justice, which included over 3.5 million documents, videos, and images related to Jeffrey Epstein's investigations, like I mentioned earlier, Jay-Z is sorta kinda in the Epstein files, meaning the rapper's name was mentioned in a separate report regarding Harvey Weinstein in what is believed to be in Jeffrey's Florida mansion, which is just as bad, by the way. Attached in an unverified FBI tip line reports from anonymous callers dating back to 2019, rather than in Epstein's, personal records, flight logs, or corroborated evidence. Now, in the report, which shows to be unclassified from the Federal Bureau of Investigation Crisis Intake, it states, on July 10th, 2019, redacted information called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to identify herself as a victim of sex abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and others, provided the following information. In approximately 1994, redacted information revealed herself to redacted information as a past victim of sex abuse by Epstein. Redacted name described the abuse occurred during parties. Redacted information further identified redacted information as a friend of redacted name. The report continues. In approximately 1996, redaction resided with redacted in redacted. An unknown man abducted redacted from her home, whence she later woke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into redacted. Redacted believed she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. Redacted name estimated she was abducted on 7 occasions, awakening each time in an opulent indoor setting. Redacted suffered from sex abuse on multiple of those occasions in which Epstein participated. Redacted name recalled Leon Black and William Barr, current United States Attorney General, being present during some of the occasions of abuse. The report shifts to 2006, stating, in approximately 2006, redacted last recalled being abused by Epstein. On each occasion, redacted believed she was drugged, clouding her memory. Redacted attributed the drugging as frequently performed by persons assigned as handlers, whom she described as persons who established friendships with the victims. Among her handlers, redacted identified the artist Pusha T. In approximately 2007, redacted attended a party redactation following invitation from an unknown man who approached her as she walked down a street. Weinstein and Pusha also attended the party and drugged her before engaging in sex abuse. Redaction claimed to have additional information of other persons involved in the enterprise and information related to racketeering conducted in support of the trafficking. Redacted name further believed she was under surveillance and stalked at the direction of the people involved in the sex abuse. Redacted name confirmed she was not diagnosed with any mental illness. Redacted name refused to provide her physical address, advising that she's maintained no permanent address. Rather, she moved between staying at different hotels. Now, while Jay-Z's name appears to be the most shocking revelation in this report, and also Pusha T. Personally, what stood out to me is the redactions, as it suggests they are protecting a certain name or names. They protected the alleged victim here, which is good. But the line I'm focusing on is the one that reads, redacted information, which is probably the victim, further identified redacted information as a friend of redacted name. To me, that's confusing, and it seems like they are protecting someone there. I could be wrong though. Now, for those actually following this whole thing, under the Epstein Files Transparency Act instructed the DOJ to release all unclassified documents and records related to Jeffrey Epstein while permitting limited redactions or withholdings only for specific reasons. Per the act, the DOJ could redact or withhold segregable portions of records such as relating to victims and their information, and redactions to protect minors. With that in mind, based on, this alleged report of past events, in my opinion, it looks like they over-redacted to maybe protect who exactly. I don't know. But this seems to me like a violation of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. In the wake of the Epstein Files being released and Jay's alleged involvement, social media has been in a frenzy, and it's honestly weird to watch as it's showing that a lot of us on social media do not take X crimes seriously, with the flood of memes and how this has turned into Stan Wars. Now, do I believe he was in the room with Weinstein? Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't there. Now, if you believe, you have that right. But I think nowadays the lines between truth, fact, speculations, and belief have, blurred significantly. Now, do I put it past Jay-Z? Hell no. And I think anyone who take that stance is kind of delusional to say that, he would never do it, especially if you do not know him personally. I'd get it more if you know Jay-Z, as you surely, would be exposed to a different side that I cannot comprehend through my phone screen. All that said, I'm still not going to come on here and say, he's guilty because of my beliefs. And I think there's a lot of people engaging in this discourse who has this kink to shame celebrities or bias against them based off allegations only. And to me, is not a productive way to engage in this conversation. Like, people are saying Jay-Z is guilty, which is fine if you truly think this, but these are the same people who feel vindicated by Nicki Minaj and the Orange Man. Newsflash, the Orange Man is also in the files hundreds of times. Remember when he said grab her by the PUSSY? Or, when he was held liable for harassing E. Jean Carroll in a court of law. Moving on to Nicki Minaj. Should I even say anything at this point? Like, Nicki Minaj married an ex-offender. Who does that? It's like her fans want to attach these claims to Jay-Z so bad so they can feel like Beyonce and, their Lord and Savior Nicki Minaj is on, like the same level. Nicki Minaj is additionally calling Jay-Z a PDF. Like, this does not make any sense. When she points one finger at someone, there are 3 fingers pointing right back at her. I'm also seeing people say, well, Drake was not in the files, further turning this into Stan Wars. Now, for those who don't know, this is in regards to Pusha T's name, getting called in the files as well. And Pusha T is basically responsible for letting the world know that Drake had like a secret child back in, 2018 or something, or 2016. Can't remember. So this is like being used as a gotcha moment. Like, there is video of Drake on the net doing this. Like, these people are not even mad. They just want their faves to have company. When I mentioned earlier that people having a sort of infatuation or kink in regards to these types of allegations, where they turn into almost like these propagandists, users online, the adding of sauce, making shit up. A relating point I want to add to this is the Eat the Rich movement, a slogan on social media which is driving this conversation as well. Hey, now I'm not opposing this movement as income inequality is on the rise. The mental prison that is capitalism is not working, and the hoarding of wealth is not a good thing. Now, this is not to say that the rich should just give away all their money. Would be nice though, but that's not what I'm saying here. Rather, they can do more, they can give back in a real way. But I think some online users have taken this too far, where they resort to making shit up to get their point across or to ruin someone's reputation without real evidence. For example, I'm seeing people saying Jay-Z left the US, fled to Europe, as if Europe, can protect him from extradition laws. And I find that pathetic. And I think this is one of the reasons why we never get to the bottom of these allegations, because too many people try way too hard with their smear campaigns, which only makes the truth less believable and harder to find. And also, this is not me saying we can't, come up with theories, but rationality has left these conversations where theories and speculations are told as truth. Additionally, the more I see these campaigns online that are just psyops, is the more I'm believing in the dead internet theory, which according to the internet is the theory and cultural idea suggesting the internet, especially social media, is largely fake, dominated by AI-generated content, bots, and automated accounts, creating artificial engagement for profit or manipulation, rather than genuine human interaction, and the real internet died in 2016. Creepy, right? But stats do show that many are leaving social media or spending a lot more time off the internet. It's so fascinating to see how everyone nowadays fall in line and echo the same incoherent, obsessive sentiments online. Reminds me of the Blake Lively and what's his name? Justin Baldoni legal situation. I'm not going to go too deep into that lore, which was, if my memory serves me right, Blake Lively sued Justin for ex-harassment. But I remember when the side of the algorithm I was on around that time, I think late 2024, early 2025, whether on Instagram, YouTube, or Elon Musk's Twitter, all of a sudden, these videos of Blake Lively being, a bad person according to the internet started flooding, my different timelines. And I remember being like, this does not seem natural. Blake Lively even included this claim of a smear campaign online in the lawsuit, which is ongoing, by the way. It described as a sophisticated, multi-tiered effort using a digital army to post seemingly authentic content, boost negative narratives about Lively on social media platforms to amplify sympathy for Baldoni. Sure, this is an allegation, but I definitely believe this happens a lot, even in cases of overwhelmingly positive influx. Bruh, people have been waiting for these files for so long, and now that they are here, in a redacted mess I might add, everyone is losing their shit. Sure, there are many who are being rational and mature about the situation, as this is serious, but it has also been turned into gotcha moments and stand wars for many, which is pretty sick if you ask me. So many of us simply do not know how to digest or converse about these files in a good faith manner. I feel like we've been cast in an alternate version of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Spoiler if you haven't watched Bodies, 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 but it's basically a critique on Gen Z, but mainly about how we are being cooked in society because of our phones, how our devices of abundant information is preventing us from thinking critically, which is intrinsic for survival. In the 2022 New Age horror comedy, distributed by A24, a group of people decided to throw a hurricane party to weather out a hurricane because that makes complete sense. But, oh no, Pete Davidson turned up dead, which naturally made the remaining gang wanting to find out who the killer is. But because these people are high on drugs during a storm party, paranoia consumes them all as more bodies piles up, diminishing the original objective. All the while, the conversation between the remaining characters borderlines the chronically online and political correctness, while they turn on each other, triggered by conversations about horoscope and the working class, and show me your text ruminates the room. In the end, the two remaining final girls discovered Pete Davidson's murderer was his phone. Absolute cinema. Sadly though, this represents how we are handling this current situation.
Your parents are upper middle class. They teach at a university.
Now, will there be, or do I think there will be repercussions for Jay-Z? There might, but I'm not sure as the information is limited. The claim is that he was in the room, and that's it. Would I like to see an investigation launch as a result? Sure. But to be realistic, I don't think that will happen. And if it does, it might not be public, as I believe all of these people are in cahoots with each other. And exposing one might expose them all, allegedly. Meanwhile, I'm yet to see people press Jay-Z in real life. It's always smiles instead, which makes me not take the internet outrage seriously. More than anything, I do think this will mostly cause more chaos and spectacle online by design, and another allegation in people's arsenal to use against Jay-Z when something else pops up in the next, 5 or 6 months down the line. And to shift focus on the files, the DOJ did not redact all victims' information, releasing their information for the world to see, putting them at risk. It does seem like a distraction. Even when on the DOJ's website, it's literally telling you that every claim about Trump is false, like they are telling you how to think. It also gave no more questions type energy. Like my last video on Jay-Z regarding the Busby case, my final assessment on Jay remains the same. He's a capitalist who only see dollar signs, and he's currently paying the price. I definitely think he crossed people business-wise in his, rags to riches journey. I don't necessarily believe these allegations, but I don't put it past him either, because why would I? I don't know him. In closing, the internet is a tool and it's riddled with psyops. As according to these emails Epstein was sending, he was apparently deep in conversation with those behind far-right platforms such as 4chan. Since this release, there has been a lot of speculation that he played a key role in fostering online extremism, including the rise of far-right conspiracy movements like QAnon and elements of MAGA culture, which is pretty crazy considering who he was. So I'll leave you all with these words of wisdom.
It's cool. It's cool to get on the computer, but don't let the computer get on you. It's cool. It's cool to use the computer. Don't let the computer use you. You all saw The Matrix.
What do you think? I am Don, your pop culture boy, and I will see you in the next one.